Meeting of the Lawrence Township Council will come to order. Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here. Happy St. Patrick's Day as well. It felt like an Irish day. All right, statement of proper notice. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, March 17th, 2026, has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of said council in accordance with Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 12, 2025. Ms. Carter, may we have the inspirational pledge of allegiance, please?
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties and continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Carter.
Here.
Here.
Mr. Pinocchio.
Here.
Ms. Sinclair.
Here.
Mayor Bob.
Here. Seeing no special proclamations or recognitions of representations, we will move on to public comment, public participation. I'm just going to read something into the record because I see a lot of new faces here and things just to kind of set priorities here. The purpose of public comment period is for members of the public to inform the governing body of their views. This time is an opportunity for Township Council to listen with care to the public and to consider what we hear in our deliberations. It's not a time for back and forth dialogue, as that can be difficult for us to give accurate responses on critical and complex issues on the spot. Rather, one can call or email members of the council manager or clerk seeking additional information or response to an issue. I'd also like to read two excerpts from the Lawrence Township Administrative Code, Manner in Addressing Council. A person may address the council upon recognition by the chair. The person addressing a council shall write down their name and address on the sign-up sheet, which is up front here. Step up to the microphone, give their name in an audible tone of voice for the record, and shall have the right to address the council for the amount of time noted by the chair. No person having the floor shall be permitted to enter into any discussion either directly or through a member of council without the permission of the chair. No question shall be asked of the council person except through the chair. Also, decorum in council meetings, any person making impertinent or slanderous remarks or who shall become boisterous while addressing the council shall forthwith be barred from further audience before council by the presiding officer unless permission to continue or again address the council is granted by the majority vote of council. So I just wanted to, I'm sure no one's going to violate any of those things, but I just wanted to sort of set that level. So with that, anyone here for public participation?
Yes. I'm first on the list. There's a list here.
Okay, I'm on the list too. I don't know how to.
Sir, that's not really.
That's really how it goes.
Okay. So, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Robert L. Lerner. I live at 4 Benedict Road. I'm the president of the Rosedale Acres Homeowners Association, which comprises approximately 30 families. My family and I have lived in Lawrence Township for approximately 30 years. I'm here to speak regarding the recently adopted 2025 fourth round housing plan, specifically the massive 800-unit redevelopment of the ETS property on Rosedale and Carter Roads. As a resident who was not properly notified of the June 2025 Planning Board meeting where this density was first discussed, I am deeply concerned that the township simply caved to a developer's maximum density demands rather than exhausting all other reasonable alternatives. I am formally requesting tonight that the township immediately cease all further actions regarding the proposed development of ETS and provide the community with a public accounting of at least the following 4 questions. First, direct negotiations with ETS. Since ETS has been a longstanding pillar of our community, did the township proactively engage in negotiations with them to find a more preservation-minded buyer? Specifically, did the township offer to help broker a deal with other potential local corporate partners or even nonprofits that could have utilized the existing office infrastructure without requiring an 800-unit residential explosion in a bucolic neighborhood? Question 2, alternative developer outreach. Did the township seek out boutique or mission-driven developers who specialize in sensitive, lower-density inclusionary projects? Or did the township simply wait for the highest bidder, highest density developer to bring a plan and then accept it out of fear of what's known as buyer's remedy litigation? Question 3, the site swap analysis. Under the 2024 Fair Housing Act, PL 2024 C2, municipalities have the right to argue site suitability. Did the township conduct a formal analysis of shifting this density to underutilized commercial corridors, such as the Business Route 1 corridor or Quaker Bridge Mall area, where infrastructure is already equipped for high-density, transit-oriented development? Question 4, preservation funding. Was any attempt made to utilize Green Acres funding, Mercer County open space funds, or New Jersey's farmland preservation tools to purchase a conservation easement on the 75+ acres of the ETS campus now slated for development, which would have allowed the town to meet its housing obligation elsewhere? By caving to this specific 800-unit project, the township is permanently altering the character of our neighborhood to the detriment of the entire community. We citizens deserve a transparent record of exactly which preservation alternatives were rejected and on what specific financial or legal grounds. Furthermore, based on the numerous emails and calls I received since last night's planning board meeting, which was attended by an overflow audience in the space downstairs, I'm letting you know that there is outrage over the lack of transparency regarding the planning board's activities. The planning board presented this 4th round to a meeting that had a handful of people in attendance, not the standing room crowd that was there last night, who would have been there had they had proper notice. The planning board proceeded to vote with basically no public comments as the clock was running out. This is unacceptable behavior from our elected officials and the volunteers who serve the community. On behalf of the Rosedale Acres Homeowners Association, we implore you to vote no on any proposal to proceed with the ETS development. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I recognize you too, the smiling mayor.
And thank you, Mr. Lawyer. 5 minutes.
I was gonna be at this meeting last week because when the Recreation Department presented their budget, as we usually do in support of the department, I was unable to make it. But I did at the time, and what I will do now, I wanted to thank Town Council, the mayor, manager, clerk, and the people, the seniors of Lawrence Township, for the awesome opportunity to serve as your executive director of the Office on Aging and the Senior Center for the last close to 21 years. So my retirement date is March 31st, 2026, and that's about, what, 11 working days? Just like in the wee hours of the morning, I actually penned a letter, sent it to Kevin Linsky,
town manager, as well as copies to the board as well, and the mayor. I'm gonna just read the next excerpt of the letter. In the past 35 years, the Lawrence Township Office on Aging has distinguished itself by fostering an active, engaged, and supportive community for older adults. It is crucial to the seniors of Lawrence Township that this legacy remains intact. This past Thursday at a staff meeting held by the Superintendent of Recreation, I learned that the position of Executive Director would not be filled. Instead, a recreation leader would be hired to assist the Office on Aging as well as serve the Recreation Department. The Recreation Department will relocate to the Senior Center as their center of operations. In my view, while the seniors could conceivably benefit from added recreational opportunities, I am concerned that the scope of services offered at the Senior Center will change. Without a designated advocate for the seniors, the wellness and socialization aspects of recreation may be met for the active younger seniors. However, the social service care needs of the aging population may not be prioritized. Under the current plan, the way I understand it, our vulnerable seniors will either be referred to the County Office on Aging for services, or an outreach worker would be sought to come to the center to serve the seniors instead of a designated Office on Aging staff with a proven and trusted relationship with our seniors. I have the utmost confidence that Natasha Pacera has the ability to meet the needs of the senior population. Moreover, Ms. Pacera will offer stability and a smooth transition upon my retirement. Ms. Pacera has combined education and experience to qualify for the Executive Director title. At the very least, a position can be created that will equitably compensate Ms. Pacera for the expectations of her position. This will send a clear message that there is a commitment to continue the legacy of Lawrence Township valuing its older adult community. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I want to just read a poem that I translated. It's in Spanish. I won't pull the Bad Bunny thing on you guys. But one of the seniors wrote this, and he's just a doll. And he said, "We desire," Spanish is awesome. If you can read Spanish, you should read in Spanish. "We desire to express a very profound appreciation for so many loving friends, and to say that we feel provided for, protected, and cared for lovingly in this loving nest where we are all being helped with such kindness, and above all with the greatest efforts of our Soldanella, which is a flower, and Director Lillian. She is unique. We appreciate all of her kindness. The Senior Center is a tree that covers us all. We feel blessed by its rainfall of love." Thank you so much.
My name is Mary Ann Mallet. I live at 58 Carter Road. I was at last night's meeting. I wanted to support Mr. Lerner. It was actually the fourth round was dealing with the Gulick House. The third round was dealing with the 800 homes on ETS. We're equally upset about both of them for the congestion density and the problems they'll bring. What was not raised last night was the need for more police, fire, public transportation to deal with any addition of houses on ETS. Rosedale is a 2-lane road. Carter is a 2-lane road. You're talking 800 to 1,600 more cars. And there are no sidewalks. And I personally run those roads. Now I'm not gonna talk as a lawyer, I'm gonna talk as a mother. People are gonna die when they don't have a sidewalk, they don't have any of the 2 lanes for cars to avoid them. And this congestion is unrealistic for that area. We will have to put in public transportation because low-cost housing. A lot of those people will need public transportation. How are they gonna get to the bus stops on Route 206? They're gonna walk, and there's no sidewalks. I run that road every day. In closing, I want to quote from our Declaration of Independence. Humankind are more disposed to suffer when evils are sufferable. But when an abuse evinces a design to reduce them, Jefferson used despotism, I'll just say, lack of transparency, lack of notice, lack of care for what the citizens feel, then it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such governmental action. You pulled a fast one on all of us, and we are outraged. I want to also add that if you did not get a We the People email from me today, that means I don't have your email address. If you want to give me your email address, I have 120 people who are very angry just from today. As I said last night, we're not going away. We're not going to let you destroy this, and acting as a lawyer, I'll take it to the Supreme Court. Because you can't do what you're doing to those of us who've been here 30 odd years, who paid hundreds of thousands for our houses and paid tens of thousands in taxes every year to keep what we thought we were buying for good. The density, when I went for density of one house on Carter Road, one house to put my mother in, I was denied by this zoning board. And it took me 3 years and $60,000 to get that zoning for a 5-acre, one house. Can't do what you're doing, guys. You gotta not vote yes on round 4, which I think you're supposed to do tonight. And we want to revisit round 3 completely. Well, we can, if developers can sue, we can sue.
Mayor, I'm not saying, no, you can't be here, I'm saying, no, it's not on the agenda tonight.
Round 4 is not on the agenda tonight?
No, it's not.
Then why'd you rush to pass it last night when we asked you to table it?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a statement.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
This will be under 5 minutes, I think. So I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding about what's happened, what is to happen in the future, and I just want to read this. I think it takes under 5 minutes, and it's just information out for you all to consider. In July 2025, the Township of Lawrence adopted its Housing Element and Fair Share Plan as a part of the New Jersey affordable housing requirements for the 2025-2035 cycle. Some residents, particularly those living near properties identified in the plan, have asked an important question. Does this mean development has already been approved near my home? The answer is no. This explains what the plan does, what it does not do, and why the township is required to identify potential sites. What is the Housing Element and Fair Share Plan? The Housing Element and Fair Share Plan is a planning document required under New Jersey law. Its purpose is to identify how the township will meet its affordable housing obligations, outline potential locations where affordable housing could be developed, demonstrate that the township is providing a realistic opportunity for affordable housing, and help the township comply with state law and avoid unnecessary litigation. This plan is a part of the township's master plan, which serves as a long-term planning guide for the future land use and development. What the plan does not do. It's very important to understand what inclusion in the housing plan does not mean. It does not approve any development. No homes, no apartments, or buildings are approved simply because a property is listed in the plan. It does not change zoning. A property remains subject to its existing zoning unless and until the township adopts a separate zoning ordinance through a public process. It does not give developers the right to build. A property owner or developer gains no automatic right to develop land merely because it appears in a housing plan. It does not allow construction to begin. No construction may occur unless a developer first obtains obtains all required approvals through formal land use process. What would need to happen before any development could occur? If development were ever proposed on a site identified in the plan, several additional steps would have to occur before any project could move forward. The township may first need to adopt the zoning ordinance to permit or encourage the type of development being proposed. That would require public notice and a public hearing. After that, a developer would need to submit a formal application to the planning board or zoning board, depending on the nature of the proposal. At that stage, New Jersey law would require direct notice to nearby property owners, including those within 200 feet of the property, as well as legal notice of the public hearing. Residents would then have the opportunity to attend the hearing, ask questions, raise concerns, and participate in the public process. Finally, the appropriate municipal board would review the application in detail, including issues such as traffic, stormwater, utilities, design, density, and compliance with township ordinances and applicable law. Why are specific properties identified in the plan? This is one of the most important parts of the housing plan. Under New Jersey law, municipalities are not permitted to say that they support affordable housing in general. They must demonstrate a realistic opportunity to create affordable housing. That means the township must identify specific properties or areas where such housing could potentially occur. Without identified sites, the plan would be meaningless and likely viewed as non-compliant. In other words, the township must answer a basic question required by the affordable housing laws. Where can this housing realistically happen? Identifying sites in the townships is a way of answering that question. Why doesn't the township just leave potential sites out of the plan? If the township were to adopt a housing plan with no identified sites, it would place itself in a significantly weaker legal position. A municipality that fails to identify sites risks being found out of compliance with New Jersey affordable housing requirements. That can expose the township to builder's remedy litigation and other court action. In those cases, developers may ask a court to permit higher density housing on sites of their choosing, including locations and densities the township would not otherwise prefer or permit. In practical terms, if the township does not do its own planning, a court or a developer may effectively do that planning instead. That's why identifying sites is important. It helps the township maintain control over where affordable housing may occur, how it may be integrated in the community, and what standards may apply. What is the benefit to the township of identifying sites? By identifying appropriate sites in advance, the township is better able to maintain local control over where housing may occur, plan for locations with appropriate infrastructure and access, establish reasonable density, design, and land use standards, strengthen its legal position under affordable housing law, and reduce the risk of litigation and court-imposed outcomes. This approach allows the township to be proactive rather than reactive. When a property appears in a housing plan, it can create the impression that development has already been approved or is about to happen. That is not the case. Inclusion of a site in the housing plan means only that the property has been identified as potential location that may help the township meet its legal affordable housing obligations. Does not mean that a project has been approved. It does not change the zoning on its own, and it does not eliminate the public's right to notice and participation if a future development application is filed. If a development application is ever submitted for site identified in the plan, nearby property owners will receive notice as required by law, and the public will have the opportunity to participate in a hearing process. The housing element and fair share plan is required planning document under New Jersey law. It helps the township meet its affordable housing obligations while preserving as much local planning control as possible. The identification of properties in the plan does not approve development, change zoning, grant development rights, or permit construction. Instead, it reflects the township's effort to comply with state law, avoid unnecessary litigation, and retain control over future and land use decisions. Any actual development proposal would still require additional approvals, public notice, and public hearing before anything could move forward.
Do you allow a response to that?
No.
Will there be a response to that? Is that document available?
Sir. Mr. Nowinski, can we, will you be able to post that at some point? Or can we include a link?
Sure.
Was that yes?
Yes,
Thank you.
we will make that public.
Is that on the website?
Yes.
Thank you.
And do you have your email on the signage?
Oh, I do.
Okay. We'll let you know. So, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, and good evening. My name is John Gregg. I live at 657 Rosedale Road. I'm a former Lawrence Township elected official who served a term on the school board in Lawrence Township. I think one of the most important legacies I had for my time on the school board was ensuring that the meetings were recorded so that there would be complete transparency that takes place with those meetings in addition to minutes. I was appalled in the situation with the planning board that a lot of people were concerned about with the Educational Testing Foundation and the revisions to the Lawrence Township Master Plan, because I was not aware of the meeting where this would be discussed. From what I understand, there were no members of the public at the meeting. And I also noted to the planning board yesterday, and I'm noting now to the attorney for Lawrence Township, that the Lawrence Township procedures for the statement of proper notice are improper. It is not a proper notice because Lawrence Township is not in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Title 10(4), sections 6 to 21. It's also non-compliant with the revisions of that Title 10 that were put into place on June 30th, which is the same time, ironically, that this was put into effect with the revision of the master plan. Nor is it compliant with the revisions and the notice requirements for public meetings that were passed S 4654 on June 30th in 2025 and put into effect on March 1st of this year. Continuing violation of the public notice requirements will result in a fine according to the law for each member of the Township Council of $100 to $500 per occurrence, and the same for the other members and the volunteers on the different planning and zoning boards. So I would encourage you to become compliant with the proper notice requirements as they are in law now. Lawrence Township has been out of compliance since February of 2025, and even with some of the minor adjustments, is still out of compliance as it is today. I think that's one of the reasons why there was nobody at that meeting where we were told that this was discussed after proper notice, which it wasn't. And that's why there was a huge turnout of people probably last night and probably tonight as well. One of the things in terms of getting notice so that there can be public input into questions like, putting the space at the Educational Testing Service as available for development, is that the people in Lawrence Township are by law entitled to ask for and receive personal notice of all of the meetings and of all of the agendas and topics for consideration of the meetings and these effects at their request for a reasonable reimbursement rate. So one of the things that I would like to see addressed by the Township Council is what the reasonable reimbursement rate is for the request of the many people who are impacted by this, for either notification A by email or B by snail mail, so that in the future that we're not surprised by things that are done in the dark with lack of transparency in smoke-filled rooms by people who paternalistically are saying they're doing it in our best interest, but are not advising the people who are directly affected. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I'm not really here as a lawyer or anything.
Sorry, state your name.
Oh, sorry. Well, my name's Howie Powers, and I have been in a gutter for 51 years, Educational Testing Service, in 3 different houses. And I grew up hiking and biking through there, and I still do almost every day.
And so I don't really have a legal argument, I just, you guys represent us. And I kind of think if you were doing something that would potentially have such significant consequences on the residents nearby, whatever the law said, as our representatives, you would have gone out of your way to let us know. So I'm kind of disappointed that last June, a pretty big decision was made. And I hear what you said, there's no approval for development, but you drew a bullseye on us. And you said it's where we prefer, those were your words in your quote, we would prefer this housing here. So you drew a bullseye on us, the neighbors, and you didn't tell us about it. And you did give us a chance to react to that. So for that, I gotta say, I feel let down. So I'd rather, and you drew the bullseye, and I don't know what we can do to change that. I understand no one's lined up to do it yet, but if they come in, you tell them where to go. And so you made a decision without consulting us. And so for that, I feel disappointed, and I hope we can do better.
My name is Catherine Frenner. I live at 233 Carter Road. I've practiced law around here for 56 years, just retired. I worked for many years for Joe Stoniker, who used to be the leading land use attorney around here. And when I heard about the ETS development, I remember years ago when the family who owned all that land sold it to ETS. There was a deed restriction. There is a deed restriction in there somewhere. And I wonder if our planners, who are really responsible for the reports that you guys get, do the planners know that there is a deed restriction of some sort? And that needs to be looked into. Number two, what the planners said was a good plan in June or whenever they put it together a year or two ago, things are very different nowadays. The county just bought land from Rider College because Rider is in financial trouble. So the county just bought, I think it was 65 acres. That land is available. Also, I was thinking, what about Rider University dormitories? Because the school is definitely they let go most of it, a lot of their faculty and everything. And I want to say, I recently went back to my hometown of Westfield. Overdevelopment. There's a thing called overdevelopment. And we don't, just because it's an empty space doesn't mean we have to fill it up with something. And I also recently went to London over the Christmas holidays. And when I went into my guest house room, I almost had claustrophobia. I thought I was in prison in a jail. Because every square inch in London is so valuable. And everybody's building up, as tall as they can. And when I went in the bathroom at the guest house, I could hardly turn around. Because it's overdevelopment. And for some reason, London wasn't able to stop it. And I'm just suggesting that our planners, that we should be talking to our planning group. And I thought Ed Schmier was the attorney for the council. Is he?
No, for the planning board, yes.
Oh, the planning board, okay, because he's a super lawyer. I don't see him here tonight, but he would be here tonight because, anyway, those are just some of my thoughts. And I guess we should talk to the planners because if they gave you information from a year or 2 years ago, or they're going to be giving you information in the future, you have to rely on them because you are not planners. None of it, we're not planners. We're not experts in the land use law and in the issues and the, what makes a good community. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. I will add, you're always welcome to come to the next planning board meeting to see Mr. Schmier. Say hello. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Manager, and folks in the audience. My name's Fred Perrine, and first I want to give recognition to Sally, Ms. LaSalle, as Director of the Lawrence the Senior Center, and also what she's done in her years. But I want you to also know that before there was a senior center, the program was housed in the community room of Eggers Crossing Village. Folks don't realize that, but that's where it started. But I'm here for a couple reasons. One is to, Eggers Crossing, Lawrence Nonprofit Housing is in a process of doing a strategic plan to make sure our development is viable and serving its purpose in years to come. We're almost finished with it, and we would like to be put on the agenda for your, I think it's April 21st meeting, to present what we're doing and present the strategic plan and give you a copy of it. The other reason I'm here is the Neighborhood Community Center. The Mayor's Task Force gave 5 recommendations to council. And I wonder if the council is doing anything on those recommendations.
Not at the moment.
Is there anything happening with the community center?
How about we, do you have any other questions? Because
Not if you give me answers to those.
Mr. Mayor, I could provide a little bit of thought.
One moment, Mr. Kowalski. Yeah. So the first one is, I will say for the record, for everyone's understanding, because this is something I can speak to. No, I haven't been able to speak with my colleagues on council about what the RFP will look like for going forward, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Nowinski about the building itself.
Yeah, so, I mean, you just said it. I think the council was in agreement that there would be a request for proposals for the building to be occupied by an organization that satisfies most, if not all, of the conclusions reached or recommendations reached by the task force. That's something that you all, as a governing body, need to vote on to provide direction for the creation of that RFP, to have it publicly noticed, prepared and publicly noticed. The second piece of this, and I don't know, Ms. Farmer, if you wanted to just briefly just talk about the grant that we just received.
And I can now publicly say we received a grant, a federal grant for $500,000 towards the community center through the office of Congressman Herb Conaway.
So what that money is going to be used for is to, as soon as you possibly can, start working on improving the infrastructure aspects of the building, the outside, making it handicap accessible and improving the bathrooms, things like that, that we can get the most bang for our buck for that $500,000. Those things, improving the property on the most basic elements, I think is important, and to have that money available to us to do it is, and that can go contemporaneously with the RFP and the time frame that we're going to be. I think we're going to hold it open for, we could discuss like 60 days to allow organizations to meet with their boards, see if they wanted to be, provide a response to us.
Well, I certainly would appreciate if the council would work on those 5 recommendations at the task force and get some of the community involved in whatever you're doing, whatever is being done. We're anxiously waiting and, to help you get started. We don't have any money to offer you, but we got good advice.
Always appreciate it, Mr. Williams. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Mill. I live at 821 Pretty Brook Road. And I am here to speak regarding the ordinance for acquisition of the private property located at 840 Pretty Brook Road.
Is that an introduction? And can we have comment? I'm gonna defer to Township Attorney.
As an introduction, there's no public comment at this time. There will be a public hearing on that at the second reading for
Will you be
adoption.
notified, because we received zero notification that this was even on the agenda this evening, and we are directly affected as we live across the street. And I was under the impression from last night's meeting, we were all told that there were issues that would directly affect us in the township with different ordinances that we would specifically receive notification. And I can speak for myself and my neighbors. I've contacted them this evening as well. Not a single one of us knew that this was going to be on the agenda tonight.
This is an ordinance that is required in order for us to proceed with obtaining a portion of the lot to complete the LHT trail.
I understand what it's in regard to. I'm just saying, I'm not understanding why nobody living on that stretch of Pretty Brook Road received any notification that this would be on tonight's agenda. Again, lack of transparency, lack of accountability. We have the right to know, and nobody. My attorney, and you will be hearing from them.
Hello, John Chen, I live at 6 Bellevue Terrace. I just wanted to make a couple comments and a couple of requests. So my first comment is about the development. As you said, there is no current plans to actually have any development on the site. 2 comments on that. I said to the planning board yesterday that we've lived through this movie before. We lived on Old Bearbrook Road in West Windsor from 2010 to 2021 when we moved here. Why did we move here? Because Toll Brothers decided to build a 51 townhomes in a town center right across the street from where we live. It destroyed the neighborhood. You drive by there, you'll see that the commercial center has 1 store in it, and the rest is vacant. You'll see that the density of the population there no longer makes it safe for me, my 4 boys, to walk as a blind person on that road. Why we moved here to Rosedale Acres because it is wide open, it is quiet, and it is safe. So my request is to understand how the township is going to protect this area. You say that the development has not yet been done, but how will you protect it? We would like to understand that formally. That's number 1. Number 2, we understand that, as you said, there were other sites that were considered as part of this process. Other sites had to be considered and identified. We would like to understand and have an accounting of what those sites were, and if they were considered, why they were considered unacceptable, and why ETS and the Gulick site were considered acceptable. We don't understand, or we don't believe and don't understand why the site is acceptable when there are many other places in Lawrenceville, which we said yesterday during the meeting, go back and look at the minutes, of places that were identified that would be more acceptable than putting it into the middle of a residential location like this for many reasons. That's number 2. Number 3, we've heard testimony and sharing yesterday and today that there was insufficient notice being provided for the meetings in June, October, and onward. And so it is our request that an investigation be performed to understand why notice was not provided. If there was no one in attendance at an extraordinarily impactful event in June, that should have raised alarm to the planning board and the rest of the municipal government to understand why was there no one there. At best, it's negligent, and at worst, it is reckless and intentional. We understand that there is litigation involved. We understand that there is pressure for the township. But to not involve residents is negligent, and as I said, at worst, reckless and intentional. We'd like an investigation to be performed and to be informed of the results of that. Number 4, we understand that in 2023, there was a land use resolution made to protect the character of our town as something that is bucolic, which is what draws people like me to this town. We do not see how putting ETS, putting this housing development ETS as well as Gulick satisfies the resolution that was made in 2023. And would like an understanding of how the township sees this planning moving forward, how it meets the obligations that were made in that decision in the land use in 2023. Well, my last point, there is also a requirement, as I understand it, that in order to choose a site for one of these affordable housing units, planned units, a site assessment must be done. We'd like to understand where that site assessment is and what was done to determine whether the site was proper. In other words, traffic, environmental. We have identified yesterday already significant concerns, even though we are not experts, significant concerns that render that site, these sites to be unacceptable. We believe that we deserve to understand a full accounting of how that process was done and made public. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Mark Gruber, I'm at the Village. Thank you. Since just before January, at the end of last year, I have been complaining about this artwork that hangs when you come into the building, that it gives bad messages, that there is one that says, take a risk when you come in, that of a man jumping over a chasm that if someone tried to do it, it's 99% chance the person is going to be killed. And there's another one of a turtle walking in the middle of a road, which means that because it's most likely going to be smashed by a car and killed, it means that people, when they see that, it makes them immune to such a circumstance. There's another one that I complained about having to do with, there is a seesaw, and on one end is a butterfly, and on the other higher end is an elephant. I don't know if you were here on New Year's Day when we got our new mayor, but at that time, the former councilwoman Olympia, right before the mayor was sworn in, as a surprise to everyone, she quit. It was a surprise it didn't make the news, it was so exciting. It seems like someone is trying to hush up the circumstances. It was very clear to me, I'm a sociologist with a specialty in subliminal information, that this woman was somehow influenced by this artwork. And I also say, I believe this group here is under mind control from that same artwork, which I've complained about, because they are seriously taking a risk. And they are putting an elephant, which is this 800-person high occupancy building, in a very bucolic area. And they don't care, from what was reported, if the people get killed on the road. I'm just telling you, subliminal influence has an effect, and you don't realize it, gentlemen. Okay? That's what's going on. And if you don't realize such a thing, and you ignore me after one of our council members here and two of your clerks have admitted that there is child abuse going on, that's quite serious.
Sir, that's a little much.
I'm not sure.
Accusations of child abuse is not much. That's a little too far, sir.
I think you, I think.
You're on a very fine line.
I would have said after last week's council meeting, you were under obligation to call me considering circumstances, and you did not.
Sir,
I believe so, in terms of legally speaking, jumping it from negligence to recklessness, I believe so. When I walked in here, I announced Jesus. And today is St. Patrick's Day, and your name is Christopher, means bearer of Christ.
understood.
Okay?
I
Just remember that, okay?
every day, thank you.
Okay, I have one last thing to say. God is the truth, according to our national motto, because in God we trust must mean that God is the truth, because we can only trust the truth.
Which
It's
God?
foolishness otherwise.
Sir, let's give you this spot.
It is foolishness otherwise, our motto. God must be the truth. And this could be the only point,
Mr. Gruber?
this could be the only, I'm nearly done. It can be the only establishment of religion that can possibly be allowed according to the Constitution. Because if God were not the truth, there would be no enforcement of law according to the truth. Because the God of the law must be the truth itself. Otherwise, we could not follow law. And this is the brilliance of God being the truth. And I mention that to you in terms of transparency. And you could smile and whatnot, but it's really serious business, Mr. Mayor, what is going on, and you don't understand. And if you don't understand how your actions have taken this risk, putting an elephant in a bucolic area, and, you know, you, everyone here, you go out this way, and when you make the right turn, notice this pattern of 3,
Mr. Gruber?
and just see if, try to understand.
Just in a large boot scoop, okay?
Pardon?
So, no, we're done, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I could thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
I'll say something.
Yeah, just the top half of
Good evening, everyone, council,
Welcome. State your name for the record.
mayor, Jim Hooker. I came here because I've stated it before about my interest in open space. In fact, I'm on our open space advisory committee. I'm not speaking for them, but that's where that's where I spend some of my time. What's that, Mayor?
I was just gonna ask, are you speaking on behalf of the community?
Heck, no.
Thank you.
And I won't even say what they might believe. Councilwoman Farmer is our liaison, and she's terrific, and we appreciate it. I was listening to a few things. So one of the things that I think, and I'm not a lawyer, like some of these folks don't even know a lot about land use. But one thing I do know, I think, is, and I could be wrong, but I'd love, and I know no questions to the council, but let's think about this. This is a really good time, I think, to consider changing, I believe, the ordinance. I believe, and you'll recall that I was active in that group that you all, well, not all, but some of you incumbents so wonderfully purchased that land with open space to stop a hotel from destroying a town park. I found out about that actually by being at a meeting of open space, and our chairman at the time, Paul Larson, just happened to mention it. Because what? Around the corner? And I don't know about this? How? And then I remember seeing it in the statutes. I think it's 250 feet or something. Is that right? And I think that's why a lot of these people, they're saying, why didn't you tell us? Now, I could be wrong, but I believe it's in the statutes. And I believe this is a good time with folks talking transparency and all this kind of stuff. Let's get it in the statutes. It needs to be beyond that. I could be wrong, Mr. Manager. I don't know whether he knows. He was great in what he did negotiating for that parcel and saving that park. But I believe that's it. Why don't I shut up for one moment? Does anyone know that that's so? It's like 200 feet or something like that. That needs to change.
Absolutely.
200 feet, you hear that? That's why you didn't hear anything. That could be why. Or let's put it this way, maybe this is something else. Maybe this is a planning board type of thing. So maybe you don't know. But when they come in for development, then you won't know that either because it's 200 feet. You know, raccoons and rabbits live 200 feet. You're not gonna find much else. So anyway, so I think that this is a good time to ask us to change that law. To change that in the law. May cost a few more dollars for postage, whatever, but it's well worth it because I believe with that hotel project, there might have been like 3 or 4 resident homes that were advised. And if I didn't see it at the open space committee, I wouldn't have known it. I just a couple other things, if I may. Did you want to say something? Okay, that's fine. I'm not good. So the other thing is, one of the homeowners talked about, put it at, you know, Ryder just bought, Mercer County just spent 10 million. Some of it, if not much of it, to buy property at Ryder, which I was thrilled to see because that's a piece of ground called I think is it the Old Woods, the Big Woods, the Big Woods? And who's the environmentalist man?
Aldo Leopold.
The great Aldo Leopold. So this is the Big Woods we're talking about. So in case a commissioner, and I know they sometimes look in on some of these types of meetings, if somebody's watching, no, we love that decision. Do not put housing in the Big Woods. That's not a place for it. The dorms at Ryder, maybe. Quaker Bridge Mall, good idea. Because that's where the infrastructure is, as someone said, the transportation, the jobs, that's where it makes sense. It's already been paved. JCPenney is empty, Sears is empty. You know, think about stuff like that. The great Pam Mount, former mayor, once said, let's put it on top of the wall. And then you have a built-in shopping folks. Okay, final thing is.
30 seconds.
Good, that's perfect.
Right on.
Remind me of the days when I was on the air. We're gonna really go deep into this subject. You've got another 15 seconds. Okay, bucolic, not the last speaker, but the speaker before, the gentleman over in the front row there. He talked about bucolic. And that's what our township is, especially up in that area. Very beautiful. I don't live up there, by the way. I live just, you know, not far from here. But it's gorgeous up there. It's very beautiful. And we really should do our best to keep it that way and not see some of these god-awful townhomes that are springing up everywhere here in,
Anyone else for public comment? You didn't come here just to watch. Anyone else? Public comment? Come on up and sign in, because otherwise I can close it. We'll have another section for 3-minute limitation if you want to go again later, so.
My name is Felicia David-Shanzi. I live, hi, how you doing? I live at 21 Springwood Drive in Lawrenceville. And Springwood Drive, is in the little neighborhood Lawrence Woods Homeowners Association. And it's your first left after you go down Main Street and you turn left on Colesville. It's the first left, that neighborhood. And I've been there for 35 years. And over time, I can actually see the Colesville Road light from my house, Main Street Colesville Road light. Over time, there has been such an increase of traffic that starting around 7:30 in the morning until like 9:30, the traffic is bumper to bumper from Colesville Road to 206. Now you might say, live with it, everyone lives with that. But when you think about the traffic coming, I actually see 18-wheelers try to cheat and not go up 206 and turn onto Colesville Road to go to Hillsborough. They're already doing that. And these are roads that are not meant for that kind of traffic. So Colesville Road and Carter Road. Also, I worked for ETS for 35 years. And I'm retired from there. And what's interesting about ETS is when it first built its most modern buildings that are there was an uproar from the community because much of ETS was actually on Route 1. But to become good corporate citizens and demonstrate their good corporate citizenship, ETS started the Lawrence Township Community Foundation, the Lawrence Township Education Foundation. We were sponsors of Boys and Girls Club events year after year, and that property was always open to any kind of community event. The leadership of ETS is not the leadership I knew, and things change. But my point being, over time, I think the community has to be vigilant about change. And while Mr. Narinsky, it was very educational what you read, that these two sites weren't in the plan, but we simply said they may be in a plan. That is either disingenuous to the government by just giving them two places we don't think we'll ever use, or starting something off where 5 years from now we'll have a sunk cost mentality bias, and it's going to happen.
Yep.
The other thing I want to really also reinforce is the request to become more transparent. I joined the group at the Senior Center when the new planning discussion started, and it was wonderful. You had kind of a conference mentality, and people put their ideas about what they want to see sustained in Lawrenceville, what we want to keep, what we want to change. I wrote my name down. I never heard another thing. And I run a Facebook page for my neighborhood, and I try to keep up, but it's very hard to stay up to date. So if you can invest in a really down and dirty process improvement around communication to really demonstrate what I think is in your heart, I think the communication methodologies need to change and become more modern. We don't have Lawrence Ledger anymore. We've only got Leah Kahn, my great friend. And we can't rely on certain kinds of methods only. And while they're legislated and you're trying to be true to that, I think we have to sort of self-impose more methodologies around keeping people abreast of things, whether they're legislated or not. And then we'll stay partners in this. So I gave my name again, but I'd like to have, be reached out to more often and more proactively as someone who already demonstrated an interest in participating. So thank you for everybody. That's my spiel.
Anyone else? Please come on.
So sign it. That way you don't have to say your address out to the whole world.
So then when you're ready, just state your name for the record publicly and I'll start the fun.
My name is Stephen Polvers. Thank you. I've been a resident of Lawrence Township for since '91, so I've been around a little bit. I really do appreciate and was very much impressed by the presentations made by those folks for their zoning board. Many years ago, I was active in the town and we had a similar situation. But be that as it may, I understand you folks mean well. I will tell you that I recently joined the senior center, and I am so impressed with what I met there and what I've seen and how everything has been run by Miss Lillian. I understand that you have made some sort of decision to fold the senior center under Recreation Department. I would say maybe the other way around, okay? Because, let's face it, and I'm young, okay? I just joined, I'm only 84. So, no, we didn't. And I just dropped my pen. The point is that we have special needs, just like the kids have special needs, okay? Basketball, I was a kid once too, we all were, all right? We all played ball, we all wanted special things with kids, and as parents, we wanted the same thing for our kids, right? However, the needs for the kids are different from the senior citizens. We are in all different types of physical situations, okay? We are handled, we are taken care of beautifully. Answers to our questions and our issues are always there from Miss Lillian and Natasha, okay? Who are helping, for example, find housing, okay? Find help for things. These are things that should be addressed and there should be no extra lines of communication, okay? They should have the responsibility, which they have, same thing with recreation, okay? You know your business, you should be able to take care of it, all right? And people should be able to go to you and ask for whatever, okay? Or questions, whatever. Same thing with the senior citizens. Our needs are different and they're unique. And folks, you're gonna be one of us. Okay? So, hopefully. And so my point on it is that things should be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay? And so Natasha should be able to run and organize and do what she does so well and help us all the way it was done. And to bear that in mind, keep recreation over there. We will not get on the basketball courts, okay? And they will not get in our bingo games.
Yeah, just for clarity purposes, the senior center has always been under the recreation department. And because Ms. LaSalle is retiring does not now mean that nobody is going to care about the seniors, that we care about the seniors. There will be no loss of programs. I just turned 60 myself, so I qualify.
I got ties older than you.
But so I just want to give you, Nancy Bergen is the superintendent. She's in charge of this. We care about the seniors. There is not going to be a diminishment of anything upon the retirement of Lillian LaSalle.
Why?
I just want you to know that.
Okay, well, I just also want to know why recreation people are going to be moved in to the senior center.
That.
No, I don't think we're gonna answer that tonight. So,
Okay, there'll be another night.
Of course.
We'll put you in the call. Okay, because you gotta tell me the lie, sir. I'm out of order.
thank you, appreciate it. Anyone else for public comment before I close public comment? Again, there'll be another opportunity later, so close public comment, and now we will move on to review and revision of the agenda. I understand we do not have needs for We're not staying for everything else. I think it's in order for us to take a 5-minute break, or a 5-minute break, sorry, not Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. And you can get back in that.
Yes. If we said there is I know. The court approves it and then that's why I said this is a try.
Yes. Because they were not required where everything was built. Every house there has parking on one
Yeah, so the whole, everything they down.
Yeah, I will.
The word she is in school.
We're not interested in going away from it, because things then.
That's what
More than 5 million out.
Well, so. I don't Well, I was just trying to give you the information on
I haven't given notice. It doesn't work. You're not gonna help me. Sorry.
That's okay, we'll take it. It's fine, it's fine, we'll manage.
Sorry.
We'll manage.
Right, because the property, they decided. Now, the judge looks at that.
Yeah, I know.
Justice now.
Yeah, just.
You gotta now remove that from that site and show us where you're gonna put it. We now have to store those. That's why. Anyway, that's in our housing plan, because they are if they did.
So here's my bill. Right.
We're done.
French too. I don't know if it's before you go across the sun.
Look, we know our business is here.
You're always invited to stay for the rest of the meeting. Oh my, go home, go home, go home. You are.
And you could just see buses battling down the road. Done. It's dangerous. Yes, it's about. Some 25. Oh my God. You know, the same route in the girls come home. They could have. Well, took the whole kids out of my house. Or Sunday. Or Sunday.
It's still on. Yeah. Okay, and, so sorry, so sorry.
We're gonna just start in a second.
We'll see you soon.
All right, and we are back to session, back to order. At number 7, review and revision of the agenda. I believe we are going to.
I would like to amend the agenda to remove executive session for union negotiations.
Okay.
That's the next meeting.
Okay, 18H10. Do I have a motion to remove 18H10 from the agenda?
Motion to remove 18H10 from the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Mr. Vito?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaka?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bauer?
Yes. 8A, may I have a motion to move meeting minutes of the reorganization meeting of January 1, 2026.
I'd like to move to adopt minutes for the reorganization meeting, January 1, 2026.
Second. Second.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Xavier? Abstain. Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bauer?
Yes. Do I have a motion for 8B?
I'd like to move to adopt the minutes for 8B, regular meeting, January 20th, 2026.
Second.
Second. Second.
Thank you.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Xavier? Abstain. Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bauer?
Yes. I have a motion for 8C.
I'd like to move 8C, adoption of minutes for regular meeting, February 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Xavier? Abstain. Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Bobby.
Yes. Number 9, awarding and or rejecting bids. Do I have a motion for 9A?
I'd like to move 9A, number 124, authorizing awarding of bid 26-02, lawn service to RJM Landscape and Design.
Second.
Thank you.
This is a bid for additional landscaping work that supplements the Public Works Department. And it's for RJM Landscape Design for the amount of $60,000.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Any questions from the public? Seeing none?
Ms. Farmer,
Yes.
Ms. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Bobby.
Yes. Move on to introduction of ordinances. 10A.
I'd like to move 10A, ordinance number 2507-26, calendar year 2026 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a capped bank for the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Second.
So when a township adopts this type of ordinance, it's creating a bank of unused cap authority that may be used if needed for the next 2 budget years. So by determining that it's prudent to increase the 2026 budget by up to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations, we are creating a bank of $421,990.02. This is not an increase in spending or taxation. It's a way for us to plan, should the need arise, that we have this money available for additional spending within our cap restrictions.
Ms. Farmer,
Yes.
Ms. Giglio,
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Bobby.
Yes. Motion for 10B.
I'd like to move 10B, ordinance number 2508-26, an ordinance of the Township of Lawrence in Marshall County, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition of certain real property located at 840 Pretty Brook Road, block 7801, lots 33, 34, and 35 for recreational purposes.
Second.
So this is required by eminent domain law for the township to take a vote, creating ordinance to take a vote, allowing for the process to unfold. And honestly, we've got to talk about notice requirements. We got to talk about it. Because this nice woman here, you feel dirty when someone says that no one told us, right? And so we maybe need to discuss some type of additional process, because what we're required to do, what every municipality is required to do, is to comply with the notice requirements that state law and local law requires us to do, and that's what we do. There will be a time, should the property owner and the township come to an agreement for this section of land for us to acquire it, that will be the subject of a planning board application or a public hearing to discuss what is involved. I think there was a public hearing about this maybe a year or 2 ago. We've been trying to have the property owner understand the need that we have in order to complete this trail portion. And a public hearing will happen later on to discuss what it will look like, so the surrounding property owners understand what's happening. There's no property owner requirement for this ordinance. It becomes tricky to determine what are we sending notices for and why. So maybe that's something for us to ask our township attorney at some point in time to opine. How do we satisfy our residents that we're not trying to be sneaky, we want to be as transparent as possible, and we comply with the law. But there's a strong sense more is needed, and so we have to figure that out.
Yeah, well, let's revisit that in new business as well.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna ask a question, if I may.
Yeah, but
So what you're saying, Mr. Nowitzki, is that we could go above and beyond what is already legally established, if we as a body decide that that's something we wanna do?
We absolutely can do that. Like, so a general mailing to.
So let's take it to do the.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I think that will give it time,
Shut
so
me down, it's fine, it's okay.
we still have to get through the.
Yeah.
The introduction of an ordinance, so, thank you. And with that, we have a vote on this, 11B.
Yes. Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Jiglio?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bach?
Yes, now we move on. And so, just as a reminder, this is the first, reading of an ordinance, and then there'll be a second reading, which is typically the next meeting, which would be, let's see, we're in the second, so it'd be the first Tuesday of April. But I'd say check the township calendar if you're not sure. Now we move on to adoption of ordinances. May I have a motion for 11A?
I'd like to move 11A, ordinance number 2506-26, an ordinance amending chapter 15 of the Lawrence Township Administrative Code entitled Boards, Commissions, and Committees, ordinance number 2084-11, to rename the Growth and Redevelopment Committee as the Business and Economic Growth Committee.
Second.
Second,
Remind us.
Sure, I don't have my notes in front of me, but in short, the Growth and Redevelopment Committee devised a strategic plan last year and sort of re-identified their mission and created 4 pillars that their goals are going to surround. And they themselves, the committee, came up with the idea to rename themselves as the Business and Economic Growth Committee based on these 4 pillars.
Any questions from council? Any questions from the public? Seeing none.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Jiglio?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bach?
Yes. That moves us to managers report.
So we have 2 important things that we need to do today in terms of our 2026 municipal budget. The first is a resolution that we need to consider and vote upon, and that is for the self-examination of our 2026 budget. And that basically, we are in a cycle where we have the ability, based upon our financial situation, in terms of how the state views our condition, that we can self-examine. And that basically, this is a resolution that allows us to do that. So we would need somebody to make a motion, a second, and to have a vote on that.
I'd like to move 12A, number 125, authorizing self-examination of the 2026 municipal budget.
second,
Ms. Farmer?
yes.
Ms. Jiglio?
Yes.
Mr. Kaneki?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mayor Bach?
Yes.
And the second thing we have to do is we have to introduce the 2026 budget. You've all been provided with your copy of the budget. There are additional copies on the table, front table. This is also available on our website for review by anybody that's interested. And so there would be a motion for the council to provide for the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer fiscal year 2026 introduction of the municipal budget, which will be the subject of a April 21st, 2026 public hearing. So we've already all met individually to go over the budget details, share your concerns, but this formally starts the budget process. And I make myself and Peter and Chris also make ourselves available to you should other questions come up. We received the $500,000 grant after the the budget message and the recommended budget package. So this budget provides for that. So it's $500,000 on each side. Nothing, there's no additional spending. It's just, it creeps up by $500,000. So make a motion for introduction.
I'd like to move 12B, number 126, the introduction of the 2026 municipal budget.
Second.
Second,
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Stiglia?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Bakken?
Yes. Attorney's report.
Not done.
Oh, sorry. Manager's report.
So, yeah, one other additional, you all have been informed that Ewing Township in a grant application to the state for funding for a roundabout at Bull Run Road and Federal City Road, and funding for a traffic light at Federal City Road and Federal Point. We joined in that application, as well as Hopewell. And that application was granted, and they have been awarded $800,000 for 2026 and $800,000 for 2027. So it's $1.6 million. Ewing has reached out to us. You all know the kind of history here. We weren't getting reciprocal cooperation in terms of participation for the design and installation of a traffic light that we felt was most critical to our residents at Federal Point. Hopewell did not want to participate at that time. Ewing didn't, so we had this kind of thing like, well, we need to move forward because it's not going to get done. We need to do it ourselves. Since that, the administrators have gotten together. Now that we know that we have this funding available, I think it would behoove us not to participate, as the three municipalities will benefit in both the installation of a roundabout and the traffic light as recommended by the warrant studies that we had conducted. I don't know what the financial ramifications are to the town at this time, but I would like to hear from you if you give me authority to move forward to gather more information on what potential costs will look like to Lawrence Township for both of these things. My sense is it will probably be less than if we were to do the traffic light ourselves, considering that we have to expand the design to include left-hand turn lanes, which was not something that we had considered, but this is what the state DOT believes is necessary. So the scope of our work has gotten a little bit more as well. So in the end, we all arrive at the great situation where this is a shared project between three municipalities, where all three municipalities will benefit from this traffic calming along Federal City Road. So do I have your support? It doesn't require a vote, I'm just looking at everybody's kind of shaking their head. So I'll get more information, and as I receive more information, I will share it with you. That's all I have.
You sure?
That's it.
Okay.
No problem.
The attorney's report.
Nothing to report, Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for being.
Next time, come with something to report.
Next time Art will be here.
Clerk's report.
Just what day? March 23rd, which is next Monday, 4 p.m. is the cutoff for the nominating petitions. So, and that is. And I did want to say something about notices. I know that people were, a lot of our information is on the website, resolutions, ordinances, a lot of the agendas, planning board stuff. It is under our e-codes. So if people want to check that out, they can. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you're very proud of, you've shown me a few times now of just how complete the e-code site is becoming in terms of having not only our township administrative code, but also agendas and other notices and resolutions and things like that. So it's appreciated.
That was one of the things that he was talking about with the public notices that kicked in. Last year it was passed, in January, we had one requirement, and then March 1st, now we don't have to notice to papers. We actually notice ourselves. So if you look on there, the notices, the legal notices are on there. If you look, and we have a little dial on there that says public notices. It's got to get better with time. We're going to make it a little better each time, but we do have a lot of information there now. And yes, I am very proud of this lot work.
I know, so if you haven't had a chance, go check it out on the website. All right, any unfinished business? New business. I got a sense from tonight's public comment that there is a question about noticing requirements and how we do a better job at sort of getting information out to the public. I think those of us who were at the planning board hearing last night heard it loud and clear as well that when sort of these bigger issues come up, maybe we should go above and beyond. So I'd love to get your thoughts.
I will tell you that, for that particular issue, I think we should ask the township attorney to review, to confirm that we've complied.
No,
We've complied, but that's not enough, right?
No,
So I think it's not enough. The other part is that this fair share housing element involves properties all over the town, everywhere. So that becomes an issue in terms of providing personal notice to literally everybody about it. So it's interesting. It's a really difficult situation, and maybe we can resolve it in some fashion by feel. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but it seems like the first thing that people complain about is I don't know, and it's very difficult to reach people who are not proactively looking. We know that when we do a mailing and we try to tag it along with tax notice, because it saves $9,000 each time we mail. And when we mail something out with nothing else in it, it doesn't get opened and it doesn't get looked at. So we're not reaching people by mailing. So
On social media, I think we do a pretty good job with those.
so it's something that we gotta brainstorm on and see if we can do something more.
I mean, I think for me, and council, please weigh in as well as our attorney, I think understanding what the baseline is, in terms of what notices is, so maybe you need a planning board attorney and zoning attorney, someone to sort of understand, maybe you probably can understand that as well, but understand what that ground floor is of notice, and then think about, you can start to think about like what those tiers of maybe noticing would look like.
And also consider the residents there. So we understood what we were doing for the plan, and it wasn't approving development in that sense. We believe we know we were complying with our affordable housing obligations, but that doesn't translate to an average property owner, as we can see.
No, we heard it last night today.
And so I think we're gonna have to go further into the minds to figure out how we do this. Because even any issue that we believe will come back with a public notice requirement, it's not gonna be good enough, because it's already gotten to the hearing where there's a public hearing and people are upset, how did it get this far? No one told me. So.
If I could say also, in our master plan process, we also went out into the community and held meetings and asked the public to come and be involved in that way. And
And we have 34,000 residents, and how many came out?
exactly.
And that was a concerted effort to do that, so it becomes tricky.
And I do want to make a note that when the land use ordinance changes, the planning department does give me input ordinance forth that is required in the land use ordinance to notify those residents within 200 feet. The clerk's office does that. And we do it it's very expensive because we have to do it certified when we introduce, and we also do it certified and regular mail when we, and that's been forever.
And our housing element doesn't get approved by the DCA until we prove that we did a publication in newspapers and we satisfied the MLUL notification requirements, the planning board requirements, advertising in the newspapers. So the compliance in that respect, we don't get approval unless we can satisfy the fact that the notice was properly. So in the end, I think we should ask that we make sure, for your minds, that we did comply, because if we didn't, we need to do something about it. But my sense is there was compliance, but that's just not enough.
And then if I could just also state, I appreciate you reading into the record the document that you did, because it's also about education. when the public understands what it is that we do and how we do it, and that we're not trying to hide anything. I think that is valuable, and I'm glad to hear that to say that you're gonna put it on the website.
Yeah, so that's the other thing we discussed by e-communication was instead of the manager's blog, maybe we do a Lawrence Township blog in anticipation of these types of issues that arise. We address it with an explanatory article,
Yeah.
you know, from just the township. And that, you know, like, as I shared with you some articles that I think would be very helpful if we get it out there. And then, you know, I don't know much more we could do.
Yeah, even if we have like a ghostwriter, or if each one of us could take a month and write something original.
The problem still is how to disseminate that though. I mean, do you know how many people subscribe to the monthly newsletter?
I don't think.
I don't, but I think that, recreation, I think, don't.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the next steps, is to try to see what.
Because a
how
lot of
it's-
stuff is disseminated through that, Facebook, on our website.
People that have an interest
We'll find it.
find.
But how do you find the people that don't have an
Like
interest
it,
until it affects
right,
them, right?
right.
I mean, and which is most people, I would say.
Yeah.
People's lives are very busy, you know.
Yeah, we did have one member of the community who's here tonight who reminded those who were in the audience last night that she has been showing up at every meeting for quite some time. And
No
there's,
names mentioned or addresses.
Well, last night. And I wonder, I'd like to look into if there's some sort of training or guidance from the league maybe about comms, you know.
Yeah, I can tell you that the blog that we had come out, there was more than 100,000 people that went to that for articles, and some articles got much more views than other articles. So I think that will really help if we have something out in an informational way that's just not like a public notice. Like we have to try and make it a little bit more interesting. So that's what we have to kind of figure out.
so I guess next steps would be kind of figure out what the basic notifications are, and then I guess also understand what our outreach looks like right now.
And the complication that we had is that if there's something that's gonna come out from the township, it will require at least 3 of you to agree. Now, like, so if there's objections to certain wordings and sentences, things like that, it will become very complicated. And it will be difficult to get things timely out. That was one of the advantages of having a manager do it, because the manager is appointed by council, and then if it's his own opinion or her own opinion. But we should work through the process and try.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
think that's.
and Mayor, I don't know if this is a proper, but perhaps maybe there are members in the council that could work with the manager on coming up with recommendations for something like that.
No doubt, yeah, like if you have recommendations about what you think you're hearing as a question in the community, let's do it.
You get how you find it, that we all have different sort of worlds that we live in, and have different perspectives that I think together we can come up with something good, so. Okay. All right. All right, public participation, 3 minutes. Don't forget to sign in. State your name for the record, please.
Kathleen Norship. Tweak the people's interest with our message board. When we have something that's coming out that's going to be important, put the message board out there and say, please be aware of that on such and such a date.
Yep.
We'll have something on our website. Everybody drives fast.
Go out the boom.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing that out.
I'll make a quick comment.
No. 3 minutes.
I'm Susan Berhaney, and do we need my address?
You can sign it, afterwards.
Okay. I was there last night and tonight, and I just appreciate your kind of guiding the audience to what was actually being considered. I just wanted to add a comment to what you just discussed, which is a better way of informing people and keeping them in the loop. I think one of the problems with all the attention to what was going on was that people got fired up because they felt uninformed, they felt betrayed or whatever. But I think you have a greater chance if you inform early to have a calmer mind, that to have someone more open to understanding what the process actually is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got another taker.
There you go, now we got it started.
I'll sign in.
Welcome.
Sylvia Cobus. I was there last night as well. And the problem is, just as with master plan meetings, it was advertised, it was everywhere. And participation was, I think if I remember it correctly, there were 800 people who responded out of 34,000. We have a group of people that, I'm preaching to the choir here, because we all are informed. Why we're informed? Because we're progressively looking up the websites. We're looking up at the agendas. We're keeping ourselves informed. And I think that a lot of people, I forgot to mention that last night, a lot of people want the government out of their business. But when the business comes to their neighborhood, they require the government to inform them about every single step. There is transparency that needs to be there, and I'm glad that you're considering something that is much more informative for people or easier access for the information. But, you know, if I could figure it out, I think the lawyers and CEOs who live in those neighborhoods should be able to do that as well. And I think that, you know, what's being said, you're going to ruin my neighborhood, you're going to ruin the ambiance and all of that. I was expected yesterday that I'm going to get rotten tomatoes thrown at me as I was sitting there. So we all want the entire township to look great, and we all want to protect our own neighborhoods. But we also have to be able to do it properly. And I think that the notice is, like, people don't understand how the system works, how the process works. And it's not on the government to educate them, it's for us to educate ourselves. We educated ourselves when we needed to apply to you and to planning board to protect our neighborhood from something that was not going to be very beneficial to us. And we did that. And we did it with decorum. We didn't interrupt anybody. We didn't yell from the audience. We sat there. We stood up when we needed to stand up. We took the time that we were given and we left. So it's upon us to inform ourselves. So thank you, and thank you for your work, and good night.
I didn't want to cut you off, I should say you had one more minute if you wanted.
No, I'm good, I've said enough.
I'll take 1 minute.
Thank you.
You can sign in after you.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've been away for a few months for personal issues, but now I'm gonna try to get back into things again. As a matter of fact, I went on, you can go right on and look it up. And you can look up every meeting, and then it's easy, you can push a button, and it goes right to your calendar, so you know you have a meeting here, and so forth, but.
Eric,
state your name for the record. Oh, Eric Barash, Lawrence Township, 17 Olin. What I noticed here is, like, tonight you have a full room, and then you made an interesting comment when, I don't know, the people that are always in an attack mode are done, they leave.
Yeah.
But then the rest of us that are here, they're the ones that, I don't want to say you care more, but you want to hear a resolution. And everybody sitting here now has clarity of what you're deciding you're gonna do. And they basically block themselves out. Unless they go back on tonight and look at the Zoom, they're not gonna know.
Exactly.
Anyone else before I close? And close public participation. Mr. Knack?
Can we stay one more hour? I want to 4 hours from.
You're always invited to stick around. I'm going to close public participation and move on to resolutions. Now, I can't prevent my colleagues from adjourning, so there's that. But I will move on to 18 resolutions. So I have a motion.
I would like to move 18A through 18-9 in a block.
Second.
Ms. Farmer?
Yes.
Ms. Vivian?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mayor Bach?
Yes. Council initiatives and liaison reports. Anyone want to go first?
My computer died. Somebody can go first.
Councilman Farmer sent in for me at
Yeah, for
the Business and Economic Growth Committee.
Okay, here we go. I have some little bit of notes. But first, if I could say, I did Meals on Wheels this morning, which was a pleasure. It's such a joy. I really enjoy doing that. It's becoming my annual thing if I don't do a little bit more. Growth and open space. I think I combined two committees.
Do you have anything? Well, to give Ms. Farmer a little bit
Yeah.
of breathing room?
Just that, in the Patriotic Committee, we set up our, in the works for Memorial Day, being May 23rd, which is at the high school. And we have, Mercer County Executive Dan Benson going to be in our parade. The mayor, council is welcome. The mayor will be out front walking. And then we have a brass band. Who else said we had? We got it. We ain't settled that yet. They got me good. I'll be the grand marshal this year. But, we have a, scout group coming in from South Jersey. We met their leader at the museum, the Armory Museum. He's actually the mayor of the town and the scoutmaster. So they're going to be reaching out to Nancy. I just spoke to him today, and they're going to be in our.
Thank you.
Okay, I got it together now.
All right.
So, I'll start with you. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is going to have a community conversation on April 16th here at the lower level. It will be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It's going to talk about immigration, equity, and building trust in our community. So that's happening April 16th. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And as I mentioned before, they're still interested in having a conversation with you, Mr. Mayor, before they fit. And then the Trails and Open Space, met March 4th. We discussed the work that was done at the Lawrence Shopping Center, the dumping, explained how council engaged in that right away and was working on it. Windsor Pike, Colonial Lake Bridge, talked a little bit about, that. Also talked about, cleaning up on the Providential Trail near the Enterprise, where there's a proposed warehouse. Let's see. Talked about, the bridge over the Shabbat the Whitehead Road Extension cross-country trail that's being worked on. Also spoke about, potentially doing a historical map, for the bicentennial of Lawrence Township that shows, historical sites from the Revolutionary War near Notre Dame and the Nature Center. So there was interest in that. Talked a little bit about trees and some things that are going on with the shade tree. That was that. And then for Urban Redevelopment Committee, which also met March was the second Tuesday, the first Tuesday in March, talked about some name tags that they're introducing for their members with their new logo and name. Talked about the overall feedback from the job fair, which is very positive. We believe there were over 100 people in attendance. The advertising, how it was very successful, partnering with the Quaker Ridge Mall. I believe they said there was, on their Facebook view website, there was over 210,000 people that responded, that viewed their website for the mall. So that was quite impactful. They're looking at stores that were on the list and also working with students for the next job fair. And they're looking to hopefully do a job fair in the fall. And they spoke about, we have a student representative on growth and redevelopment from the DECA of Lawrence Township. There's a conference in Atlantic City, and one of our representatives came in third place. So we're very proud. And they're also discussing a networking event probably in the next quarter.
I'll just update, Shade Tree Committee is finalizing the community forest management plan, working with the consultant Bill Barash, as well as looking to do some planting of trees on Earth Day. And then the environmental Green Advisory Committee is continuing, their members are continuing to work on a sort of, let's just call it a white paper on synthetic turf, about sort of the environmental impact of using turf instead of grass, as well as looking at a couple other sort of rules and regulations that have been trickling down from the state and how the best to implement that. So I'll keep you advised.
Yes.
The Recreation Department will have the annual Easter egg hunt on Saturday, March 28th at 9 a.m. at Central Park.
Was there a leprechaun this year?
Yes.
What was the result of it?
The leprechaun.
Oh, that's just, you find him and then you come here to the pot of gold
Okay.
at the end of the rainbow in the courtyard.
The same building as the
Right here.
All right, written communications, I need to forward on that I've gotten from Council President West Winter, and some other things, so stay tuned. And with no executive session, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
No. This card, let the record show that it was a 4-1 vote for adjournment.